We got drama in Fortnite land.
So about a week ago, some members of the Fortnite community began to speculate that Epic might have removed skill-based matchmaking from the squad's casual mode. And this is more or less because they said the matches kind of out of nowhere began to seem a lot less sweaty, a lot less competitive. It's no secret that high-level competitive players often dislike skill-based matchmaking in their casual modes. But when skill-based matchmaking is enabled, the casual modes often feel similar, if not exactly the same, as the competitive modes because they continue to be placed against other high-level, high-skilled players. So why do Epic and other developers include skill-based matchmaking in their casual modes? Well, basically, data shows that for the vast majority of players, skill-based matchmaking improves retention and engagement. Now, we often hear the plight of high-level players in casual modes with skill-based matchmaking, but we don't often hear the flip side, the other side of the story. The low-level players in casual modes without skill-based matchmaking. Most of us have experienced, to some extent in some game, getting our ass totally kicked by somebody of a higher skill level, and it's just not fun when you don't even have the opportunity to do well, to do even minimally well. Now, a week later, we arrived to the current drama with Cypher and the potential reintegration of skill-based matchmaking into squads. Many people say that skill-based matchmaking has been reintroduced because it's gotten sweaty again and the games are hard again. But there's another reason that the games might be sweaty and hard again. Josh Menke, matchmaking guru over at 343 Industries working on Halo Infinite, says that in his decades of experience working on games like Warcraft, Call of Duty, Halo, casual modes without skill-based matchmaking often end up being played only by the high-level competitive players that were jumping in there to get a more casual mode in the first place. And if you think about it, it makes sense. Everyone of all skill levels gets matched randomly in these playlists without skill-based matchmaking. But as we said before, the low-level players get their ass kicked repeatedly and just lose interest in participating in these playlists. So they drop out. They stop playing. So when the low-level players stop playing, you end up with, well, just the sweaty guys. And as we said before, Epic haven't confirmed that they removed skill-based matchmaking in the first place, nor that they reintroduced it. So this is entirely speculation. And my guess is that because there's been a lot of media attention brought to the fact that skill-based matchmaking might have been removed, low-level players might have heard the news, went into play some games, gotten their butts kicked, and decided, you know what? It must be true. Skill-based matchmaking has been removed. I'm not playing squads anymore. So what you're left with are the higher level players playing against each other. The exact situation they were trying to avoid in the first place. So if this is the case, skill-based matchmaking, even if it was removed, may not have been reintroduced. It's just that the low-level player population has left because they found out it was removed. They've played games and gotten their butts whooped, and they're done. So that's why the games might be harder now. The low-level players either heard that skill-based matchmaking was removed and thus now refuse to try squads because they don't want to just get stomped on by a bunch of sweaty tryhards, or skill-based matchmaking might indeed have been reintroduced. Or players go in, play, lose the games, and somehow interpret the events of the game as confirmation that skill-based matchmaking has been removed and that they are now going to get stomped on by higher level players and thus avoid the playlist. This is the last thing I want to talk about: confirmation bias, a cognitive bias that every person has that I think is applicable here. Confirmation bias, reading off my notes, is the tendency to interpret new evidence as confirmation of one's existing beliefs or theories. The reason this is applicable is because without Epic confirming anything, a large part of the assumptions made by the Fortnite community could be due to confirmation bias. A skilled player jumps into squads, kicks ass for 10 games in a row, and starts to think, hey, things are easier now. Maybe they remove skill-based matchmaking, you know? And they play maybe 5 more games, again, blowout results, and they interpret the evidence under this assumption. Skill-based matchmaking must have been removed, even though there are potentially other reasons why these results may have occurred. Now, in the same token, this may also be why a lot of people feel that it's been reintroduced. Games are harder now, so skill-based matchmaking must be back. But maybe it's just that, well, you got harder games this time on accident. It's random now. Confirmation bias could also be in effect for those low-level skill players who might have heard the news that skill-based matchmaking was removed went in to play squads, had a bad time, and used it as a confirmation that yes, skill-based matchmaking was removed. I definitely was placed against players of higher skill level when it may not have actually been the case. So until Epic confirms or denies the removal of skill-based matchmaking, we really don't know what's going on in the squads playlist. People may, with our weak human minds, be falling to confirmation bias and interpreting recent games as a confirmation of what they're experiencing, and not only their recent games, but maybe the games they see other influencers or friends playing and interpreting it in a way that confirms whatever beliefs or theories they're having. We're not saying skill-based matchmaking was or wasn't removed. We're just saying we don't know, and these things could be influencing the way we're looking at stuff. Now, I'm not sure that Epic would want to confirm that they removed skill-based matchmaking unless they wanted to use it as an opportunity to demonstrate to the community that they were really listening to them and giving them what they wanted. If this was the case, it's important to realize this is not what the entire community wants, but a subset of the community, but potentially an important subset of the community, a very vocal subset of the community. So my theory is that if Epic confirms that skill-based matchmaking has been removed to any extent in Fortnite, they're doing it to please that subset of the community. What do you think? Let us know in the comments if you hope they remove skill-based matchmaking, if you hope they kept it in, if you think it's in right now, do you think they reintroduced it after a week of not having it? What do you think? What's your data showing you? What's your brain telling you? Let us know. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Let us know if you want to see more things like this from us. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and consider supporting the studio with our epic merch. You can find a link down in the description.
Until next time.
Now, well, data that improves retention and engagement. Most of us have experienced to some extent in some games the experience of getting your ass totally fucking kicked.